So first of all, I'd like to thank Delhi Public School for welcoming me here. It's my first experience seeing your campus. It's absolutely wonderful. And of course, the TED team as well. And thank you for that warm welcome, the three of you. I was asking myself this question, first of all, wonderful speeches. I've heard a couple, till now. And I think, ma'am, that was wonderful. I'd probably give my 2 cents now as well. I was just thinking this while I was sitting there, when she was wrapping up her speech, that am I the right guy to give this speech? My topic is lessons in losing. It's a wonderful topic, very controversial. And I asked myself that question about 10 times today, since I woke up. I woke up around 7:30 or so. And the answer was yes, I am. Because it's one simple thing. I'm not successful. I'm great at losing. I lose really well, Whether it's sports, whether it's debates, whatever it was. I lose wonderfully. So I'll give you a little context. Let's make this about you guys first. Everybody sitting in this room and outside and the rest of the world, in fact, there's two sides to you, always. There is that one side where, let's say it's a very accomplished, academic child, where their parents are super proud of them that they've gotten a 94% average. My child is great at debating, my child does sports well, etc., etc. That's one side of that kid. The other side of that child is when he or she is standing in front of the mirror and knows that they've got certain insecurities about themselves. They've got certain issues with themselves that they want to resolve. All of this people don't know about. You know about that. And each one of you has this. So do I, right? That's just the way life is. So that double-sided narrative is what we need to address, because one side is that great repertoire of success that you have, and the other side is, according to you, a failure. It isn't. It's development. And I just like to take you back to what I said initially. I lose great, I've lost a lot. All of us have lost a lot, right? So that's something that I pride myself on. I'm a great loser. Now, what does losing teach you? Losing gives you a lot of perspective. It tells you that, you're not good at this. You should probably drop doing this. It's time. Just pack it up. Come on. You're not that great at this. Let's say it's sports, debating, whatever it is. I could give you 100 different examples of that. But the idea there is to take away from that losing. Let's start one at a time, okay? So I was pretty lucky in life, let me just tell you that. I was also unlucky at a few places, which I'll start with first, in fact. But I was pretty lucky in life that I had a great supporting family and a good group of friends. That's really important. But I started really slow and very jagged, I'd say. You're seeing me speak in front of you. I don't think I've started yet, touch wood. I used to stutter, I couldn't talk on stage, I couldn't make a sentence on stage. I was probably the worst speaker you'd ever come across. In fact, I had a little model in my mind in class, an English class, in 7th or 6th grade, where I'd sit at this exact position that the teacher can't look at me and then call me to stage and call me to talk. I hated it. It was ridiculous, and it was a problem, because that will, to some extent, limit what I do in my life. It's not just about a professional career. It's more than that, right? So I had this model where I'd hide behind a pillar and, okay, she's not going to find me. Great. That doesn't work. It's not a sustainable model, in business talk. And I decided one day that this is done. I can't do this anymore, I have to put myself out there. I have to make myself numb to the feeling of nervousness when I get to the stage. Am I better researched than other people? Maybe not. Maybe I'm at the same, level as they are. But I need to work on myself. And I've worked on numbing myself to the concept of the nervousness that came with stage fright. It was stage fright, by the way. And I started talking in the mirror to myself and 100 other things. And surprisingly, it worked. It's a wonderful thing what happens when you put down a sustained effort on something which you thought is absolutely impossible, and it works. It is wonderful seeing that plan pan out. Let's move on from there, okay, because this is probably the slowest part of my life. And I had my bad days, trust me. There was a debate that I'd gone to in DRS. It's been about 10, 11, 12, 13 years now. And I froze on stage in front of 5th, 6th graders. I was in my 11th grade. That's embarrassing. And I couldn't talk. I was all over the place, and I cried. Surprisingly. I wouldn't expect myself to shed tears towards something so minuscule in my life, but I did. And that experience taught me so much. It told myself that, that there is a situation that I need to deal with here, because nobody else is coming and saving me. This is me. I'm on stage. I've got a minute, 30 seconds to talk. And it happened. That is the day that it worked. And thankfully, touch wood, I've never looked back since. And it's great that that's happened. One common thing that we do, though, as human beings, we tend to get lazy. That is probably the second part of what I suffered from the most, apart from the stage fright. We accept ourselves as being great, with a small little achievement and then we stop. That is not how it's done. This is for the school kids especially. That is not how it's done, okay? For example, I played this, this is probably a CBSE, ICSE thing. We had this national level tournament for football and athletics and whatnot, right? So I had this in 2013, 12. And I was supposed to be the best player on my team, thankfully. I've taken football very seriously. Sport has been a very integral part of my life. And in fact, my school had beaten DPS as well. My apologies to all the administrators here, but that's how it was. I scored against you guys. But so I was really good at this game. I started off pretty early. I was like 7 years old when I started playing. And I made it to the districts pretty early, and then the state team, and then the interstate teams, the nationals. Now, I had this wonderful habit of getting complacent after my training sessions where I'd go and sit down and I won't do anything after that and just relax for a week or so. I've played already, I've done my drills, whatever it is, I've met my weight requirement, all of that. I got this really nice message from my coach 3 days before we were supposed to leave that I've been dropped. I prepared a year for that tournament, a year. Was it really a year though? Because I stopped preparing a month before it properly, right? It was more of a sporadic preparation cycle. Doesn't work. And he told me that you have an attitude problem. I don't think you'll succeed in whatever it is that you're planning to do if this is how you approach it. You can't get complacent. You have to push and make something great of yourself. And I didn't do that. And the unfortunate part to me is that they ended up going to the semifinals without me. And they did really well. In fact, that was great. But I wasn't part of that. And that hurt. It did. What I'm trying to tell you with these two instances, the stage fright and this, is that there is a certain motivation inside you. I'm going to get to the second part of that sport thing because next year we went on and we won. I was part of that team. But what I'm trying to tell you with these two experiences is that there is always going to come a time in your life where you feel you've done enough. You actually might have done enough, but you aren't supposed to know that. You aren't supposed to accept that, yeah, you know what, this is my cap off. That's not the way it works. It's just not. Because the moment that happens, you become complacent and you drop the ball. Now, I'd mentioned those two sides of an individual to you guys about 5-6 minutes or so back. The thing about those two sides is that side which is unsure about you, about yourself, will tell you when you actually put in a little bit of work that, yeah, this is enough, because you're still unsure. That's the thing. I know it's strange reverse psychology, but that's how it is. Because if you are that sure about yourself, you will not stop pushing until you achieve what you're supposed to achieve on the last day. Now, I started a little business in 2015. Okay, this was about, we were selling apparel, so it was a B2C model, and that business ended up collapsing. Because we fulfilled about 1,000 customers or so, and then the vendor who we were partnered with, that person, he violated an agreement between us where he couldn't supply us what we were supposed to sell. It went completely bad. And I had 1,000 payments already in my account. So I am looking at two situations here. One, I refund. Second, I work the problem, I fix it, I find somebody else in a very short amount of time because you have to find somebody else, and then you make it work, and from then you move on. I chose the latter. I think I was fortunate that I chose the latter. It was a 50-50. I could have given up, but I didn't. I chose the latter and it worked, and that business is still going on today. We've got great returns and stuff. And this started in school, mind you. I didn't start this in college because college just didn't give us that much time. It didn't. So, my course was pretty brutal in all my 5 years that I was in law school and then after that as well. And work keeps you pretty occupied. So yes, I started this and it worked out. It failed and then it worked out again. I had two choices, like I said. I could have let it fail or I could have made it work. Thankfully, it worked. Now, these are three wonderful failure stories that I've told you about where I was dropped. I was all over the place and it was all my doing. This isn't somebody else who did it for me, right? That accountability is something that I want to speak to every child here about. Knowing that you've probably done something and then fixing it is much better than blaming everybody around you. That doesn't work. It is not a sustainable model, like I said. Last one. Let's say that you come across a situation in your life where you've graduated during COVID. There is nothing for you to do. Absolutely nothing. And the job market is messed up. Courts are closed. I'm a lawyer, The courts were closed at that time. We had online hearings and all of that. Where do you start here? It's like coming to a school where there's no curriculum and there's no teachers, right? What are you going to do there? You can't sit here and have lunch. You've got to do something. I decided to upscale in different regards. What makes you sharp? things that make you sharp. Forensic science is one. I took that up as a passion. Altruism, sociology, philosophy and whatnot. My grandfather was a philosopher at his time. So I decided to take a leaf out of his book. And a couple of other courses on financial modeling, financial crime and stuff. Completely irrelevant to my work. Absolutely nothing. But it helps you think. It makes you a better professional, Now, this is the part of my speech that I was looking forward to the most because it doesn't involve anything that I've done or anything that I failed at or succeeded at, because life isn't about that. You've been modeled into a system where, each one of the students here, you guys might have a roll number, right? Even people in college, you might have a roll number assigned to you. You are not that roll number. You are much more than that. And the reason I was looking forward to this part of the speech is because I get to be myself a little bit more with you guys. Every single person here started off completely average at what they wanted to get good at. Even people who've succeeded at it and people who are getting there. I wouldn't include myself there because I don't think I'm a success story at all. I fail really well though, that's one thing. But that's the thing, everybody starts at zero. And there are two kinds of people in this world. There are, probably I'd classify people as being good at sports, people are being good at academics, debating, etc., etc. But largely there's two kinds of people. There's people who try and people who don't. And I've come across people who've tried and people who haven't tried. I consider myself safely to be in the category who mostly tried. That's probably the differentiator, and I would want you to take that away from this. Try, fail, fix it again and again and again, because that is the way it works, and that shapes you for later on as well. A job is not going to change anything for you. Employment is fine. Your life is 100 times bigger than that. You are much better than that, right? Now, if I break down those two classifications, people who try versus people who don't, what's the differentiator between them? What is it? It is the fact that they are able to find it within themselves to get out of their comfort zone and learn something that they didn't know before. I didn't know anything before about altruism. I didn't know anything about sociology. I had no idea about financial crimes. That's not what my course told me. But you have to take that up yourself. Things like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing. But yeah, what interests you? Do much more. That's what my point is. Now, those last couple of minutes that I have of summing up, this is probably the part that it's a window into the kind of person that I am, and that probably will teach you more than anything I've told you now. It hurts me when a competitor is able to beat me. I feel terrible about it. I hate it. I hate losing. I hate losing more than I like winning, and there is a difference. There's a huge difference between both. I hate losing. Why should I lose? I just told you about 10 minutes back that I'm a great loser. I am. But now I don't like losing anymore, because that is the lesson that you take away from losing that much. You continue to do this, you numb yourself out to the process, and then you come to an avenue where, now I feel like doing this properly. I want what's yours. I want what's mine as well, of course. I want to succeed. But if there's somebody I'm competing with, I want what's yours as well. I want it that badly, right? I want to win. That is the differentiator between both sides. And I'd say that success has been a wonderful teacher to me, but failure has always taught me more. Always. And I think to everybody present here, I'd probably speak to the front row a little better on this, because they probably understand success a little bit better than what the kids do at this age, right? It's a differentiator. And I don't need to ask them their experiences, because I know that everybody's failed at some time or the other. It is just averages. That's the way averages work. I fail at A, B, C. I win at X, Y, Z. And the work that goes in between A, B, C, and X, Y, Z is the differentiator. That's why I won. Now, I like keeping myself to the point as much as I can. I pride myself on that, in fact. But one differentiating factor that I want to point out between this generation and what we had back then, the school kids that are there now, I see you guys more motivated than we were, and that makes me immensely happy. You guys have to compete more than we do. Absolutely. The population has gone up. It's a very plain average for you. You have to compete with more people than we do, and you need to be equipped to do that. Every single school kid here. You have to. Now, I'll come to the last part of my speech, I think, because I've gone a lot on what I was saying. There is no magical change that happens one time. It just doesn't. It's not like some teacher pulled me apart and said, yeah, you're now a good speaker. No, that's not what happened at all, in fact. What happened was that I made the effort that I'm sure a lot of people here have as well at what they wanted to at some point of time. I made the effort. I decided that this is something that I want to be good at. And I have to be good at it, or else it's going to kill me inside. That feeling of just approaching obsession is what you need to succeed in life. Whether it's a job, whether it's an interview, anything. It has to hurt you that somebody's better than you. I know I sound a little bit psychotic right now, but if you don't have that, it's going to be difficult to win. you know. And don't be unscrupulous. Don't be unfair. Don't be unjust. Don't break laws. I'm advising you that as a lawyer, please don't do that. But within the limits of society, the rules that we've got inscribed to ourselves, try as hard as you can to push yourself to be better than what you were yesterday, because that's all that matters. There's a quote. I missed 9,000 shots in my life. 26 times I was trusted with the game-winning shot and I missed. I've lost 300 plus games. I fail again and again and again and again, and now I'm numb. And that's why I succeed. I didn't say this. I'm not that great. I really look up to this athlete called Michael Jordan. Must have heard of him. Great player. Probably he's the best for me, at least. And he said that. He said, I was a great failure. I failed as much as possible, and because of those experiences, I'm here. And I think he's pretty recognizable worldwide, so I think he did succeed in what he wanted to achieve. And I can't say that I'm a sliver or a speck on the screen compared to somebody like that yet, because the moment I assume that, I'm not. Your self-growth journey is not going to be one step in the shower. It's not going to be a teacher coming and suddenly baptizing you saying, yeah, now you're great. You're not. You're going to have to make the effort. Maybe it might be a business that might have failed in the middle that you might need to recover. It might be stage fright that you might need to work at. It might be a sport that you're actually pretty good at but got complacent about because of your attitude. And that's it at the end of the day. It's your attitude. That's what matters. And I hope, it's my aspiration, of course, that even if 10 of you or even 5 of you understand what I'm trying to say in the way that I'm trying to say it, life is not going to be as hard as it is for you if you decide to do it from now on. Do the difficult thing again and again and again. That is all you need to do. It's a math problem, let's say. You're struggling with it. Work on it 50, 100 times. You'll get it. That's the way humanity works. We are an intrusive species, biologically speaking. We take, we evolve, we grow. Humanity's been around since the Homo sapien age, 15, 20,000 years approximately. See how much we've evolved. I'm able to talk in front of you fluently in a language that we made up about a couple hundred years back. Turtles still haven't evolved in the last 200 million years, so we're a little ahead of the other species. Let's show it. Let's work on ourselves, be better. And do it for yourself. Don't do it because somebody else is asking you to do it. That's the way that I advise that you become a better loser. You might just learn to win along the way, who knows? That's it. Thank you.